Lagos hummed outside, cars honked, music blared, but inside Sarah's small apartment there was only silence. The silence felt heavy, suffocating. It pressed down on her, reminding her of her loss. Her father was gone. She picked up a framed photograph. Her father, his smile wide and bright, stared back at her. Tears welled in her eyes. She missed him terribly, his booming laughter, his warm hugs, his comforting presence. She wished she could hear his voice again just once. She longed for his guidance, his wisdom, but it was no use. He was gone, and she was alone. Days turned into weeks. The silence in the apartment grew louder. It echoed the emptiness in Sarah's heart. She tried to forget her pain. She buried herself in work, in books, in anything that could distract her. But her father's memory lingered. It haunted her dreams, her waking hours. His absence was a constant ache in her chest. She felt lost, adrift in a sea of grief. She knew she couldn't keep running from her pain. She needed to confront it, to find a way to heal. But how? The question echoed in the silence of her apartment. One evening, a strange thing happened. Sarah was home alone, lost in thought. The air was thick with the familiar weight of her grief. Suddenly, she heard it. A faint melody drifting from the other room. It was a Fuji song, her father's favorite. She had heard it countless times before, his deep voice singing along. She froze, her heart pounding in her chest. Was it her imagination? Was she hallucinating? She cautiously walked towards the sound. It seemed to be coming from her father's old record player, the one he cherished, the one she couldn't bring herself to touch since his passing. The record player was spinning, the needle traced the grooves of a vinyl record, but there was no record on the turntable. Sarah stared, her breath caught in her throat. This was impossible, yet the music played on. Fear battled with hope in her heart. Was it him? Was it her father, reaching out from beyond? The thought sent shivers down her spine. She reached out a trembling hand towards the record player. As her fingers brushed against the cold metal, the music stopped. Silence descended once more, heavier than before. Sarah felt a chill, a sense of being watched. She was alone, yet she didn't feel alone. The experience shook Sarah to her core. The next day she couldn't shake off the feeling that her father was trying to communicate with her. She found herself talking to the empty air, pouring out her grief, her fears, her hopes. To her surprise, she started receiving answers, not in words but in feelings, in intuition. She felt a comforting presence around her, guiding her, soothing her. She started noticing things, little signs that reminded her of her father. A particular type of bird he loved would perch on her windowsill. She'd find his favorite newspaper clippings tucked away in her bag. The scent of his pipe tobacco would waft through the air, even though she knew it was impossible. One evening, Sarah decided to play one of her father's old Fuji records. She had been feeling particularly nostalgic that day, missing the warmth of his presence and the sound of his laughter. As she sifted through the collection of vinyl records, each one a treasure trove of memories, she finally found the one she was looking for. It was an old, slightly worn record with a faded label, but it held a special place in her heart. She carefully placed it on the turntable, the familiar crackle of the needle meeting the vinyl bringing a smile to her face. As the music filled the apartment, she felt a wave of emotion wash over her. The soulful melodies and rhythmic beats transported her back to simpler times, when her father would play these records on lazy Sunday afternoons. She could almost see him, sitting in his favorite chair, tapping his foot to the music, a contented smile on his face. The music had a way of bringing him back to life, if only for a few precious moments. It was a bittersweet feeling, a mixture of sadness and comfort. The sadness came from the realization that those days were gone, that she would never again hear his voice or feel his embrace. But there was also comfort in the music, in the memories it evoked, in the sense of connection it provided. It was as if the music was a bridge between the past and the present, allowing her to feel close to him once more. She closed her eyes, swaying to the music, tears streaming down her face. The music seemed to wrap around her like a warm embrace, holding her close, comforting her. She could almost hear her father's voice, whispering words of encouragement, telling her that everything would be okay. The tears were a release, a way of letting go of the pain and holding on to the love. It was as if her father was there with her, dancing beside her just like he used to. She could picture him, his eyes twinkling with joy, his laughter filling the air. They had shared so many dances, so many moments of pure happiness. And now, in this moment, it felt like he was right there with her, guiding her steps, sharing in her joy. She could almost feel his hand on her back, guiding her steps. It was a gentle touch, a reminder of his presence, a sign that he was still with her, watching over her. The music, the memories, the love, they all came together in this moment, creating a sense of peace and comfort that she hadn't felt in a long time. In that moment, she felt a sense of peace she hadn't felt since his passing. It was a deep, abiding peace, a sense of knowing that he was still with her, that his love would always be a part of her. She sat down, letting the music wash over her, feeling the warmth of his presence, the comfort of his love. She realized that her father might be gone, but his spirit, his love, would always be with her. It was in the music he loved, in the memories they shared, in the very air she breathed. She looked up at the sky, a gentle smile on her face, feeling a sense of connection, a sense of peace. It was in the music he loved, in the memories they shared, in the very air she breathed. She took a deep breath, feeling the cool air fill her lungs, feeling the warmth of his love surround her. In that moment she knew that he would always be with her, in her heart, in her memories, in the music that brought them together. One day, a heavy downpour engulfed Lagos. The skies opened up, releasing torrents of water that seemed to wash away the very essence of the bustling city. Streets turned into rivers, and the rhythmic sound of raindrops created a symphony that echoed through the urban landscape. Rain lashed against Sarah's windows, mimicking the tears she could no longer cry. Each drop on the glass mirrored the sorrow she had carried within her heart for so long, a sorrow that had become a constant companion in her life. She sat by the window, watching the storm rage outside. The world seemed to be in chaos, much like her own emotions. The storm outside was a reflection of the turmoil within her, a turmoil that had been brewing ever since her father passed away. She thought about her father, about his infectious laughter, the way his eyes would light up with joy. Memories of their time together flooded her mind, each one a precious gem that she held close to her heart. He used to say that rain was a blessing, a cleansing force. He believed that rain had the power to wash away the old and bring in the new, to cleanse the soul and rejuvenate the spirit. His words echoed in her mind, offering a glimmer of comfort. She took a deep breath, feeling the weight of her grief lifting, if only slightly. The air felt fresher, the world seemed a bit brighter, and for the first time in a long while, she felt a sense of peace beginning to take root within her. She realized that she had been holding onto her pain for too long. It had become a part of her, a shadow that followed her every step. But now, as she watched the rain cleanse the world outside, she understood that it was time to let go. It was time to embrace the healing power of time and acceptance. She needed to allow herself to heal, to let the rain wash away her sorrow and make room for new beginnings. She opened the window slightly, letting the cool, fresh air fill the room. She knew her father wouldn't want her to be sad. He would want her to remember the good times, to cherish the love they shared, and to find joy in the little things. She smiled as she looked at a picture of them together, feeling his presence beside her. He would want her to live, to love, to laugh again, to find happiness in the world around her, to connect with others, and to create new memories. She felt a renewed sense of purpose, a desire to honor his memory by living her life to the fullest. As the rain subsided and the sun peeked through the clouds, the world seemed to come alive again. The streets glistened with raindrops, and the air was filled with the fresh scent of earth and rain. It was a new beginning, a chance to start over. Sarah felt a renewed sense of hope. She knew that the journey ahead wouldn't be easy, but she was ready to face it with courage and determination. The rain had washed away her sorrow, and the sun had brought with it a promise of brighter days. She knew that her father's spirit would always be with her, guiding her, protecting her, loving her. As she looked up at the sky, she felt a deep connection to him, a bond that could never be broken. And with that, she embraced the future with an open heart. Standing before her father's grave, Sarah whispered a promise. "I will be all right, Baba," she said, her voice thick with emotion. "I will live my life to the fullest, just like you taught me. I will honor your memory by embracing every moment, by spreading joy and kindness wherever I go." She laid a single white rose on his grave, a symbol of her pure and everlasting love. As she turned to leave, she felt a gentle breeze caress her cheek. It was a familiar feeling, a comforting presence. She smiled, knowing that her father was at peace, and so was she. Life went on. The city of Lagos, with its vibrant energy and relentless pace, continued to move forward, just as Sarah had to. The streets were filled with the sounds of daily life, a constant reminder that the world doesn't stop for anyone's grief. Sarah returned to work, her heart lighter, her step more sure. She had found a new rhythm, a new normal. Her colleagues noticed the change in her, the way she carried herself with a quiet strength. She was no longer the woman weighed down by sorrow, but someone who had found a way to carry her grief with grace. She still missed her father, but the sharp edges of her grief had softened. The pain was still there, but it was now a part of her, woven into the fabric of her being. She found herself looking up at the sky, feeling a sense of peace, as if he was watching over her. She found solace in the memories they shared, in the echoes of his laughter that lingered in her heart. She would often sit in the park, reminiscing about the times they spent together, the lessons he taught her, and the love he gave so freely. These memories were her anchor, grounding her in moments of doubt. She embraced life with a newfound appreciation, cherishing every moment, every sunrise, every shared laugh. The beauty of the world seemed more vivid, the colors more vibrant. She realized that life was a series of fleeting moments, each one precious and irreplaceable. She knew that her father's spirit lived on, not just in her memories but in the way she lived her life. She began to engage more with her community, planting flowers in the garden, participating in local events, and teaching children. Each act of kindness was a tribute to him, a way to keep his legacy alive. She was no longer just Sarah, the grieving daughter. She had transformed into someone stronger, more resilient. She would look at herself in the mirror and see not just her reflection, but the reflection of her father's strength and wisdom. She was Sarah, the strong, resilient woman, her spirit imbued with the love and wisdom of her father. She faced each day with a renewed sense of purpose, knowing that she carried a part of him within her. Her smile was brighter, her laughter more genuine, and her heart more open. And she knew, with every fiber of her being, that he would always be with her every step of the way. Whether she was walking down a serene path, gazing at a scenic view, or simply holding her hand to her heart while looking at the sky, she felt his presence. It was a comforting reminder that love transcends all, even death.